Today's November 20th, and we're going to brew Dickey's Ale Batch 3. I've got my handy camera here. So I've got the brew pot ready. I've gone and bought my grains, my yeast, and my hops. And we're going to go ahead and go outside, fill up the brew pot, get started. So we'll see you guys here in a minute. Hello, okay. Today, November 20th, pulled out all my brewing supplies, and today we are going to make Dickey's Ale Batch 3. As you can see here, I've got my pot with the bottom soaked up with dish soap, and it's already dried a little bit, so I'm hoping that still provides the protection. Got my banjo burner here with a full tank of propane, my little work table just to set my mash tun on to make it easier to drain liquid out of there. Then I've got my lid here and just a gallon jug to measure the amount of water that I'm going to put into my brew pot, and then my wort cooler that I built. So anyways, I'm going to flip this pot over and put it on the burner, put about 14 gallons of water in it, and get started. One thing to note here, I've got 3 gallons of water in my pot, which is probably pretty hard to see, but you can see there that 3 gallons actually just barely makes it up to the spout out. So I'm actually going to add 14 gallons from this point, so that way I don't have to worry about running out of water for my mash in, and I actually get the 6 gallons that I'm shooting for. So I have just put in my 14 gallons plus my 3 extra gallons to get me to the nozzle, and it is warming up. As you can see here, it's actually only at about my camera's not focusing, but it's at about 84 degrees. So anyways, we will wait for this to heat up to about 155, 160 degrees. I've put the lid on it so it warms a little bit more. I need to get my gloves so when it gets hot, and you can see that the pot is most of the way full. We'll check in after I get the 160 degree water into that tub with the grains. One trick that I'm going to try and do is add water and grains in equal parts, because I think I get a better conversion that way. It's nothing scientific. I haven't validated that that's actually true, but we'll keep experimenting and see what kind of result we. Here is my grains. I have approximately 10 pounds of 2-row pale malt, 1.6 pound of crystal 60, and 0.3 pounds of chocolate malt, 0.3 pounds of black malt, and then I have about 1/10 of a pound of this flaked wheat here that I'll be adding. So since I'm at about 120 degrees, I'm going to go ahead and take it out to my cooler out here, and I'm going to go ahead and let the water get to about 160 degrees and add it to my cooler, because it'll lose some heat when it hits that cooler. And once I get it about halfway full, I'll start adding these grains, and then we'll mash in for about an hour. So we're at the end of our mash in. This is at 154 degrees. It's been sitting here an hour, so I'm going to stir it up one final time, and then we're going to sparge it back into the big old brew kettle here, and go ahead and put her on boil for an hour. And once we've done that, we'll take our hydrometer reading and put her in the fermenter. We had a great sparge. We took, I think this is 40 quarts, approximately 40 quarts, and ran all the water out of this cooler, and it was sitting on that, which that's a real pain in the rear. I need to figure out how I can get that cooler up there easier, because that's pretty high and that thing's heavy. And as you can see here, we have approximately 10 gallons of ready to go wort, if you will. So I'm going to fire on the heat, bring it to boil, and we will add the hops, 1 ounce of East Kent Golding hops. I did something a little different today. I went ahead and added the hops at 180 degrees Fahrenheit before the boil, mainly just because I'd opened the package and was ready to put them in. Didn't see any reason to wait. So I don't know. It means they'll be in there a little bit longer. Not real sure how it'll affect the flavor, but hopefully it'll turn out. Okay, we are nearing the end of our boil, which, as you can see, it's just rolling along in there nicely. It looks phenomenal. Just get that off there. It's been on boil for about an hour, so I've cleaned out my carboy, I've cleaned out my mash tun, and cleaned up most things. The wort cooler is right there, so I'm getting ready to sanitize that by putting it in the boiling wort, and we'll drop that in there and cool the wort, and then I'm going to run it out of there back into my mash tun that's got the filter on it, so we can filter out most of the hop trub, and then we'll take it from the mash tun, put it up on my handy little table, and we will run it into the fermenter. From there we'll add the last little dry hop with the Belgian yeast, and hopefully probably add a little bit of brown sugar, and I haven't decided, we might add some cranberry. So alright, we are firing on the wort cooler now, and we will try and cool this down as fast as possible. You can see here, it's extremely hot coming out. I can feel it. You can see down there, because I built my wort cooler too big, it's technically a little bit too high, but all in all, working really well. Whoops, I was covering the mic again. But as you can see here, the wort cooler is a little too high. It's working great though. If you look here at my thermometer, you'll see it just start dropping extremely quickly. So anyways, we're gonna run this and let this wort cool, and then we will put it in the fermenter. It's actually not cooling near as fast as I planned. This has been running about 2 minutes, and you'll see we've gone from 212 down to about right at 160, 150. But nonetheless, it's still working pretty well. The wort's cooling down. I don't anticipate any issues, so I'll need to make sure to dry off my burner so it doesn't rust. But beyond that, everything's working as planned, and you can see the steam coming out. The one surprising thing is the amount of grain actually from the boil that's on the side of the pot. I'm really surprised, given that I filtered it from the mash, but not a big deal. We'll filter it again and clean the pot. I'm down to the bottom of the barrel, and down there is still some good wort, but with lots of hop sediment and grain trub. So I elected to shut off my valve there. I have approximately, I think, about 6 gallons of good wort. So what I've done is gone and filled up my hydrometer. So we're going to take my hydrometer reading, and I pulled my hydrometer kind of from the hop trub mess, and you can see all the sediment in there. which is why I'm not going to put that in my cooler to put in the fermenter. However, if I come up short, I'm still going to leave it in the pot so that I can go ahead and filter it out if I come up short, because I always like to have more than less. So anyways, I'm going to take my hydrometer reading, record it, bring my cooler in here, start putting it in the fermenter, and I'll show you the final result. Here we are filling up the fermenter, and you can see it's coming out of my cooler here, which has that mesh filter inside of it. And then I'm doing a filter through this large wire filter, and then I've got a smaller little filter in the funnel down there, although you can't see it. You'll notice though there's really not that much hop trub, so that's a great thing. And it looks like that I've got a bunch of really good looking clear wort with a nice foamy head. So this is looking pretty good. I'm kind of excited. Hopefully we'll finish up here and we'll see how much beer And this, my friends, is the final product. Actually, this is the absolute best I've ever done as far as volume. It looks really good. I actually had a 6.5 stopper that I thought was supposed to fit the top of that. Pushed it in there and went straight through. So I've got a little problem down there, but luckily I sanitized it, so hopefully it doesn't contaminate the beer too bad. But got a nice big full load there. I put in 2 ounces of brown sugar and put in about 1/3 of an ounce of the East Kent Golding hops to dry hop it. The beer has great color, great clarity, and it's pretty full. So I'm going to put my towel around it so that no light touches it, although it's going to be fine here inside. And we're going to see how she ferments. So anyways, it was another great brew day, and hopefully we'll have a taste test here in a couple of weeks. Well, this is the morning after brew day, and as you can see, my airlock is going nuts, and I have great yeast development there on the top of the beer. I actually put the yeast in the fermenter at 5:30, and by 9 o'clock that night it was already going, which I thought was really good. So pretty short start time. Looking forward to seeing what the final gravity is, and we'll